Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. The sun is shining, and I just wanted to share with you the events that took place last night. So it was a fairly sleepless night, and I found myself awake but having these visions where I was taken back to my family home. And I was in the lounge, and my mother at this stage in my life was pretty much a very, very unwell, dying version of my mother. And she was in this chair where she kind of was bound. She was unable to walk and move around at this point. And my grandma was there, and it was a real memory of when my grandma had had a disagreement, and my grandma didn't really get angry very often, but on this particular occasion I remember her shouting, saying, "Why don't you help out? Why don't you understand? This is my daughter." And I was like, yeah, that's my mum. And I was literally standing in this situation, and I remember it. And I was saying, I don't want to be here, girls, ladies. I don't want to be here. And they were like, why? I said, because I don't want... This is a very painful memory for me, this time in my life. I just don't want to be in this room right now. My life's moved on. This is the past. I don't want to be here. And they both looked at me and they said, well, that's why you need to be here. You need to look at what is happening here at this moment in your life. And it made me emotional. And I said, but I don't want to be here. And they said, why? Why don't you want to be here? And I started, just out of my mouth, all this stuff was coming out. And I was saying, because this is my family home. And at this time in my life, I had to live every day watching my mum deteriorate in my home. And it was painful. And my place of home and my place of comfort and security and the place that I would come for refuge and all those feelings had been stripped away from me. And that home life was now a place of pain and conflict and things that I didn't want to see. I just knew it was going to get worse and worse. Or you were praying it would get better. But either way, my mother and that energy of home and comfort had been stripped to now it was a place of inner conflict for me, where I couldn't find refuge or solace or peace in that environment, because it was a constant reminder of pain and death. And so at that period I needed to escape, and I needed to I helped out a lot, but my grandma was like, why are you leaving? And I was like, because I needed to get out sometimes and just go and be with my friends and just to decompartmentalize and get comfort from them for the grief that I was going through at that time. And then I looked at my grandma and I realized from her perspective, that was her daughter dying in that chair. And she wasn't really angry with me. She was just in her own grief. And I broke down in tears in this dream, and I just leant at my mum's feet and I said, I'm sorry if my actions at any point when I would run away from that pain, if they felt like it was because I didn't care. And as soon as I said that and these tears were rolling out of my eyes, she jumped out of her skeleton body into a fully plump, vivacious woman that she was before her illness, and she stood beside her ill body. And my grandma suddenly transformed, because my grandma's passed over too, and they were both standing there, went, well done, and they started clapping. And I was like, what? And they went, that's what you've got to do now. You're avoiding things, or you're avoiding rooms where you need to just go back and reshuffle it and realign it, because we want you whole, and you are whole. But all these things are kind of like stumbling blocks. And they said, that's why you have to go to the room of the spiders, because I used to have a recurring dream of a room full of spiders that I'd never go to. And it was kind of like an analogy of just ignoring certain dark memories and painful places in your life. So then, because of the joy of this, I just unlocked something there, and there they are, all wholesome and well, and they're great, and they literally put me in that situation that felt like, why are you doing this to me? It was for me. It was for my own good. So then they said, go and find the other rooms. And then I found myself going back and visiting situations and people and asking them, okay, what do you need to teach me? What did I do wrong? What do I need to apologize for something? Did you misunderstand my actions? I accept your report, whatever it, what was the lesson? And I went back and I was looking at things within my marriage before it broke down, and then I visited my auntie and then my cousin, and then each person that I came face to face with, I just asked them, what do I need to rectify here? What do I need to put right? And the more I was enthusiastic about meeting and reshuffling like a Rubik's Cube, the easier it got. And I was having this conversation with my cousin, and I was having a conversation with my auntie. And then I met my granddad, who's passed recently. And he was plump when I saw him, and he was in his suit, because he was always in his suit. And I was like, Grandpa, I said, I find it hard to even believe that you're not here. You just seem so present to me, even though you've passed. I forget that you're not physically here. And he just smiled at me and was like, oh, Becca Loop, and then he sort of jumped out of his old plump body, and he must have been about 30, and he was standing behind himself, and he had his braces on. And I remember him being that young man that was a builder and very active. And I looked at him and I said, I remember you like this. I said, but I actually remember you more fondly when you were that old grandpa, in your later years. And then he looked me dead in the eye and he said, yes, and that's why it's important you accept aging, because your grandchildren are going to need a grandparent, and all aspects of you are a necessary part of your life. It's not just about being young and having that life force energy thriving. It's also about the gift of being from A to B, like being young and being old. You're going to be a gift to people, so don't fear getting old. And then there was just, the room was filling up with all these people, and they were cheering me on, and I was, and the energy was just rising in this room as I was just rectifying and putting things back and realizing the lessons. And I came to an old church pastor, and I just was going down this line like, what did you teach me? And he was like, I was teaching you that you didn't have to please a father figure to be accepted. You actually had to grow to be a woman that had her own choices in life. And that's why you left church, and you got to a point where you were like, I ain't doing this. I'm not pleasing people. I'm going to make my own decisions in life. And there were so many things. And then I was seeing that, people were coming to me then these were the core lessons, and they looked like a soul family. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I was like, I think I've done everyone now. All I want to do now is go and give Jesus a hug. And I ran to Jesus, and he just embraced me, and he was like stroking my hair, and he was like, this is why all these things happen. Like, don't ever think that what you go through is not for your own good, because it's just everything that you face is bringing you back to yourself. It's all about you. And he said, what do you want to do now? Now's time to have fun, because we're healing you to a point where you can be back to how you were originally supposed to be, through these soul lessons, through the choices that you've chosen to do these things, because you've forgotten, now you're remembering through these people that are actually here to help you. Even if they appear as enemies or anti you, they're not. On the other side, this is all orchestrated. It's all part of the narrative. And I said, at the moment, I just want to sleep. I just want to rest. Like, I want to be at ease. I don't want to be struggling, and I don't want to be trying. And then Jesus said to me, it's time to have fun now. It's time to just have fun, because that's what it's all about. Just being and expressing yourself as you came here to express yourself. So I don't know if that's going to encourage someone, but basically, your life lessons are here as a gift. Everything you go through is a gift to bring you back to you, fully you. And that's a beautiful gift.